Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Christmas triple header week 16 of the 2023 NFL season. So I hope you all had a Merry Christmas, and well, the NFL provided a gift this Christmas because it fell on, as it so happened to fall on a Monday with 3 games this week. So certainly an interesting week of football where you had a couple games. We had the usual Thursday night game, a couple games on Saturday, and then the Sunday slate, and then a triple header on Christmas on Monday. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with the Las Vegas Raiders. And even though it's too late for them to make the playoffs, Antonio Pierce continues to state his case for, or continues to make his case for the long-term gig. So technically speaking, because they got a win here, I don't know if a loss would have eliminated them, but a win certainly doesn't hurt, and it keeps them mathematically alive with an outside shot at the playoffs, following another inspired effort from a team that is without its original starting quarterback and head coach from week 1. That says a lot about the job that interim coach Antonio Pierce has done since taking over for Josh McDaniels. Under Pierce, the Raiders have put up a respectable 4-3 record, but that includes back-to-back incredible performances. First, a 63-21 victory over the Chargers in Week 15, and now this upset of the Chiefs on the road. There's a lot up in the air regarding the Raiders in 2024, and there's still a chance they sneak into the postseason, but for now, the team at least has an option in terms of its head coaching situation. And you know what, I wouldn't mind seeing Antonio, I'm okay with Antonio Pierce remaining head coach. The way he has kind of rallied this team, the way they played certainly looks different than what they have with Josh McDaniel. And the defense is playing great. The offense is a different story. I think definitely you're going to need a new quarterback. Aiden O'Connell didn't complete any passes after the first quarter, and yet still somehow, because of a couple defensive scores and great play from the defense, they were able to hang on in this game and win. So certainly got some work to do on the offense, but at the very least it looks like you got head coach figured out, which is certainly part of the equation. You got GM and quarterback to figure out as well, but Antonio Pierce can be a nice little plug and play at the head coaching position and allow you to get a head start on the other two. Kansas City Chiefs. So this team is a broken mess, more so offensively than defensively, and it's looking more and more as though the struggles of the reigning Super Bowl winners will be extended another year. No team has repeated as Super Bowl champs since the Patriots in 2004, and now the 2022 champion Chiefs look like a team that has no business being in the Super Bowl. In their Christmas Day home loss to the division rival Raiders, Patrick Mahomes once again looked far from his elite self in a dud performance that featured 2 turnovers, resulting in Raiders defensive touchdowns in a 7-second span. That might have been an anomaly, but it was the 3rd consecutive multi-turnover game for a team that has gone 2-4 since its Week 10 bye and can no longer secure the top seed in the AFC, having been mathematically eliminated from that equation. And it could get worse. They've now lost 3 straight games at Arrowhead, so there's nothing guaranteed next week when they play in Arrowhead against a desperate Bengals team, or the following week on the road against the Chargers. Because the Chargers, they played an inspiring brand of football against the Bills, so there's no such thing as an easy game, but I wouldn't say don't take that team lightly. The AFC West remains up for grabs, although I think it's a matter of when and not if the Chiefs win the division. The other team I could see challenging for it would be the Broncos, but they lost and they don't really look like a contender right now. So I think the Chiefs, it's just a matter of when, not if, they secure that title. And the fact of the matter is that you can't count the Chiefs out just yet. They might be a broken team, but Mahomes is still the quarterback and Andy Reid is still the coach, and the team certainly has some talent and experience to suddenly go on a January run on the way to the Super Bowl. So this is potentially fixable. fixable, keyword potentially. But right now, it's hard to believe the Chiefs can right the ship on time. It's late in the season, so there's not a lot of room for error, hardly any. And the team, when you look at this team on the field, they look careless, unfocused, mistake-prone, and even detached. It looks like this just isn't going to be their year. There's all that talk about Mahomes in a road playoff game, and that looks more and more likely. And I think if Mahomes does have to go on the road to play, depending on who it is, the Chiefs might be one and done. Granted, I think that would be a wild card. I still think they win the West, and at the very least get to hold a playoff game at home. And I think if they can host a playoff game, that gives them a good shot to advance to at least the divisional round, but I wouldn't quite call that a guarantee. New York Giants. So in this loss, amidst a lost season, now having been mathematically eliminated from the postseason after said loss, at least they got some clarity on the Tommy DeVito question, and that is that he's not the answer in regards to the future of the quarterback position. So just in case anybody was still under the impression that the Giants might have found a diamond in the rough, and that long-term answer quarterback not named Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito provided some clarity with a second consecutive poor performance Monday in Philadelphia. Yes, the Giants hung in thanks to multiple Philly miscues, but the undrafted rookie, who not long ago had become somewhat of a cult hero in the land of the G-men, was benched at halftime after generating just 55 passing yards on 15 attempts. That came a week after DeVito posted a mere 72.8 passer rating, as the Giants offense generated just 6 points in a blowout loss to the Saints, which is tough considering that he entered this slump on a hot streak that featured a 119.8 rating over the course of 3 victories. DeVito certainly got the most out of his 15 minutes, but you'll likely forget he was ever taken semi-seriously as a potential long-term option at quarterback. If Jones is not the answer, it will be back to the drawing board for the Giants organization. So I guess good news for the Giants. Well, unfortunately for Tommy DeVito, that this is kind of how his run came to an end, but I think it was to be expected. The undrafted free agents at the quarterback position, there's not a lot of them, so it was a feel-good story while it lasted, but fortunately the story's over. The magic's worn off. Tyrod Taylor is likely to take over as starter for the rest of the year, and the Giants can go into the offseason knowing that nobody's going to be calling for knowing that they won't have some sort of quarterback controversy. They can just kind of roll in with Daniel Jones and hopefully get him back healthy and playing at a level worthy of the contract that they signed him to. Philadelphia Eagles. So they needed this win, but even with it, they still don't look like a Super Bowl team. So Super Bowl contenders rarely can afford a 4-game losing streaks in the month of December. Arguably, few can afford 3-game losing streaks, but the Eagles have earned some benefit of the doubt the last couple seasons. Regardless, it was critical that Philly find a way to beat a bad team at home on Monday, and they did just that despite a pick six, a fumble, and a kickoff return leading almost directly to a touchdown for the Giants, and 9 penalties to 3 from New York. Yeah, it doesn't sound or look great, because it wasn't. If Bradley Roby had been flagged for a pretty blatant pass interference call in the fourth quarter, the Giants could have taken this game to overtime despite essentially being down to the third quarterback with virtually nothing on the line. Like their division rival Dallas and the aforementioned Chiefs, the Eagles are making too many untimely mistakes. It's now been more than 2 months since they won a game in convincing fashion with Arizona and the Giants on the upcoming slate. They won't get another legitimate test until the playoffs arrive. So they've got some time to figure out, they've got some things to figure out between now and then. Otherwise, they won't stand a chance against the 49ers, even if they survive to meet the presumed NFC top seed. Speaking of those 49ers, at home, those same 49ers barely beat the Eagles, so it's understandable that with an uninspiring performance like this, that they wouldn't be able to match up with the 49ers. But wait just a minute, tune into the 7 o'clock game, and you'll see something different from the 49ers that hasn't been seen since their 3-game losing streak, and they came at home in Santa Clara nonetheless. So the Eagles got a little bit of breathing room thanks to the Baltimore Ravens. So I'd say maybe not breathing room, but certainly they got some cushion from the Ravens, dealing the 49ers a loss. And speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson might have just stole the MVP award from Brock Purdy, or at the very least, he got himself an increase in votes for now. or he got the momentum in his favor for now. So prior to Christmas Day, Brock Purdy was widely considered an MVP favorite, but that has changed. In what was the worst performance of his NFL career to date, Purdy threw 4 receptions in a primetime home loss to a Ravens team in San Francisco. Might play again if they make it to the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson, a prime MVP candidate himself entering Week 16, posted a triple-digit passer rating and rushed for 45 yards in a turnover-free performance. As Baltimore made a huge bold statement, at this point the MVP race is at least likely to be a close call. Voters on the fence will likely have a tough time siding with Purdy over Jackson, taking this game into consideration. So there's a good chance that this was an MVP making tilt in the Bay Area. Purdy could still leapfrog Jackson, but there's not much time for big moments because San Francisco is still likely to take the NFC's top seed with only Washington and the Rams remaining on the schedule. Although I wouldn't quite say the Rams are an easy game, I'd say that one could go either. The Rams are a tough out the way that team's been playing. However, Jackson could still earn his case for performance next week at home against the Dolphins, in which case it's also possible to Tagovailoa could come back into the picture. Unlikely, but it's possible. At the very least, there's now plenty of intrigue in this multi-horse race. Lamar Jackson might not put up the flashiest numbers, but I think the biggest thing with his performance is consistency, and he has been playing consistently great football. San Francisco 49ers. So the NFC path to the Super Bowl might be wide open. The 49ers look like the overall favorite, and I still think they're the favorite to represent the Super Bowl for the NFC. But with this loss, though, it's a reminder that this is a beatable team with a second-year Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback and some potentially problematic injuries. Meanwhile, the Eagles put together their 8th consecutive non-inspiring performance. So those teams are 11-4 and tied atop the standings. But it's understandable to be concerned about a Philly team that has scored just 26 more points than it has allowed in 2023. That scoring margin puts the Eagles in the same range as the Buccaneers and Rams, rather than perceived heavyweights like Dallas, San Francisco, Miami, and Baltimore. The path could truly be there for the Lions, who are now locked into a three-way tie atop the conference, but have also have had issues of their own since the Week 9 bye. Granted, they've been kind of turning things around, especially on defense, which is where they needed to make some changes. The Cowboys could certainly have it in them, but have lost back-to-back critical December games. That narrative about them on the road continues to haunt the team. And currently in the postseason afterthoughts like Tampa Bay, Los Angeles, and the Seahawks could still find a way if they get hot. I would lean more towards Tampa Bay and Los Angeles, more so Los Angeles. They look like a sneaky dark horse in the playoff race, and the so-called elites of the conference continue to leave the door open for those teams. For those who enjoy parity and guessing games in sports, the next few weeks could serve as a gift that keeps on giving, especially in the NFC. So don't wrap up this NFC race just yet. I still think the 49ers are the favorite, but the Eagles are right there with them. Detroit is certainly a sneaky team to keep an eye on, along with the Los Angeles Rams. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.